Did you know that it helps if you unmute yourself in OBS, folks? Welcome back to Sonic in the Parallel Worlds, the 2-day event focused on me muting myself while everyone else speedruns Sonic the Hedgehog series, fan games and mods and more. It's a great show. So, I am most certainly looking forward to our next run. It is our final run of the marathon, and it is certainly a thing. If you notice, I am not joined by HUD601. I am joined by Dr. Hudsman601. So take it away, Dr. Hudsman.
I see you fell for my diabolical trap once again, Amber. I shall mute your mic across the universes.
Yeah,
Hello,
I didn't
people
read.
of GDQ.
Oh no. I didn't
How
read the
are we?
manual. Did anyone else read the manual about Dr. Hudsman601's diabolical traps?
I shall get you this time, Hedgehog. I have before me all of my greatest creations. We will be seeing all 42 of my finest bosses, as I will finally get that pesky Hedgehog. But for now, allow me to introduce my wonderful number 2, the person who has created this marvelous invention. Alistair Aitchison, welcome.
Hello, thank you very much. I mean, I have to say, it is an absolute pleasure to be in the presence of one of my heroes tonight.
Yes. Very good. That is definitely how you get on my good side. I am indeed a hero to all across Mobius. But for now, allow me to explain how this is going to go ahead. We have before us 4 of the finest Sonic games. Sonic 1, Sonic 2, Sonic 3, and Sonic and some Chuckly Boy. Across these we have 42 bosses. And as we go into here, you will see that we will be swapping randomly between 4 of my creations as I try to take down that dastardly hedgehog once and for all. But we will not know the order they are coming in, for we will shuffle said seed. Are we ready to take on the Boss Rush Shuffler and close this fine marathon with my victory?
Let's do it, Doctor. Let's go for it.
Yes, and just one quick word before we get started. I have turned on the flashing lights warning. It is not as extreme as the Ring Shuffler, which is also developed by Alistair, but there is going to be some rapid flashing occasionally, so do be aware as we go through this run. All right, you are clear to start.
Thank you very much, my minions. 3, 2, 1, go! Ah, yes, Sandopolis, my finest temple. We shall come down here. Sonic, I shall get you this time. No, he got a hit. We're going to go into Casino Night now. Tails, the orange hindrance getting a hit there. I can't really see much through this. You're going to have to explain this, Alistair.
Alright, so hopefully what it should be self-explanatory from what you're seeing. Every time Sonic or Tails hits a boss, it switches you to a different boss fight. So we've got all 4 of the kind of the big 4 Sega Mega Drive, Genesis, Sonic games. Sonic's immediately died.
I got him!
That's going to take Eggman back to the last checkpoint. So basically, what you're trying to do is beat all 42 bosses from the original 4 games. Every time you land a hit, you get switched into a different boss fight. You'll notice that Sonic has 12 rings in every single one of these games at the moment. That's because the rings that you have when you leave one game stay with you as you move to the next. So Huds has already lost some rings, so now he's down to 1 ring. He managed to pick one up on the way out. Managing your ring count is really important in this. You want to try and be very careful to not get your rings, because once you're on no rings on one game, you're on no rings in all of them. So, and being on no rings is not a happy place to be, because that means one hit will kill you and you'll go all the way back to the last checkpoint, losing all that time you've made. But look at that, he's already beaten Chemical Plant Zone. And as he bops the capsule and the next level loads, we get...
Curse you, Hedgehog! Take a load of this!
Take a load of this.
So once you've beaten a boss, as when it would normally show the score totalizer or move you to the next level, it'll just bring in another boss, and it will keep on doing that until all 42 bosses have been loaded in. So we're fighting 4 bosses at a time, and then when you defeat one, it'll bring in the next one.
Oh, he got me again. I'm starting to sense a pattern.
So how are your strats at the moment? Do they differ a lot from how you would be doing these bosses in a normal speedrun?
Yes, they are differing greatly. Where we would normally ease the bosses, as one might say, we have to take a very different approach to this one, Alistair. However, Oil Ocean, we're going to take a very similar vein. But yes, many of the bosses where we would bounce and juggle on them, that's no longer possible here because we can't tell where we're going next. We could be holding the wrong direction. And as you said earlier, ring count is paramount.
Yeah, that's right. You mentioned another important thing as well. It's not just your ring count that carries over between bosses, but any buttons you're holding down when you switch games. Once you switch into a new one, you will be holding that button down. So, for example, if you're holding down the jump button and you switch into another game and you're standing on the ground, that will immediately cause Sonic to jump. So you sometimes need to think about that when you're playing. Sometimes there's parts of the level where you don't want to jump, or we'll probably see a level later on where you always want to be holding down the right button, and you need to remember to keep doing that even when you're not in that boss rush. But you are making fast work of that Hydra City boss there.
Oh, curse this hedgehog, I will get him with my finest creation, my first great creation here. He'll never guess the pattern.
Never.
So are there any bosses you're particularly scared of?
Yes! Mystic Cave, Hilltop.
Mystic Cave.
Wait,
And
who
Hilltop,
am I?
so
Am I Sonic? Am I robotic? I can't remember.
So if you were Sonic, tell me why you would be afraid of Mystic Cave or Hilltop.
Why? Because that Dr. Huntsman's a genius. Speak of the devil.
Oh, here it is.
The biggest problem here is that little orange hindrance that has followed me. He tends to ruin all of my finest plans, if I were Sonic.
That's right. So in Hilltop Zone's particularly dangerous in the boss rush because it's very easy for Tails to get a hit in, and that will cause you to fly through Robotnik into the lava and lose all your rings. And as we said, if you lose your rings in one game, you lose your rings in all of them. So that can put you in a very scary position. So there we go.
No,
Sonic
come
just
back
lost
here.
some rings there, but he did manage to catch it again before landing the hit. So he's still safe. One ring is protection, but you don't want to lose that one ring.
Yes, Sonic, wait! Wait there, you little pipsqueak. No!
So, I mean, one more down. So we have defeated, this will be our 7th defeat, and we're on to Doomsday Zone.
What? How is
So
he
Doomsday
breathing?
Zone... He's breathing pure chaos energy, Doctor. We need to find a way to harness this for ourselves.
I must harness this chaos energy. Looks interesting. Could be a new energy source for the world. My world.
So, Doomsday Zone works a little bit different to the others in that your ring count won't carry between Doomsday Zone and the other games, although that is an option that you can switch on. Obviously, what that does mean is if you were to lose all your rings and switch into Doomsday Zone, then you would immediately die and have to do this bit at the beginning with the rockets all over again. So, there's a feature on by default that means that the rings in Doomsday Zone are counted separately from the others.
What? This is blasphemy. How dare that hedgehog?
So you do get a little reward once you beat Doomsday Zone. The rings that you have at the end of the zone will be carried forward, but that only happens when you defeat the Doomsday Zone boss. It's a little thing left in by accident that I've decided to keep there as a little present. So onto Metropolis Zone now. So there's an opportunity to get some extra rings here right at the beginning. But this one is a bit of an easy level to lose rings on, because if you want to get these hits in early, you are going to risk jumping straight into these spinning balls that go around Eggman. So that might be something we're going to see in a second. So keep your eyes peeled. so far seeming safe in Hilltop Zone, but there's every chance that next time he switches in there, Tails could be the one to land the hit, and that would cause Sonic to fall into that lava. So let's keep our fingers crossed.
How does he always seem to know where I'm coming from?
Seems to be safe so far, so that's really good.
What is this?
Oh, fantastic, fantastic. So he does lose his rings in the end, but it's a safe place to do so because he's going to switch into a new level now, and this is going to give him, hopefully, an opportunity to pick up more rings. Although, not every level begins with rings right at the start. This one's quite nice because you get these 3-ring TVs here. Personally, Death Egg 1, so this is Sonic and Knuckles Death Egg 1 boss fight, or Red Eye, as it's called, and you'll see...
My finest creation, Alistair.
Red Eye is one of my least favorite bosses to play in the boss rush because it is very easy to lose all your rings very suddenly, and particularly in the second phase of that boss, once it starts spinning these spiky platforms around it, it can get very easy to get trapped inside it because you're kind of weren't paying attention to where you were when you went in. Now we're into one of the zones that Eggman fears, apparently. What do you fear about this one?
There's no rings in this one.
No rings in this one, that's right. So if you were to go in there, if you were to beat a boss and have no rings left and go, oh, phew, I'm going to have an opportunity to pick some rings up, you might be unpleasantly surprised if you end up in Mystic Cave Zone because there are no rings at the beginning of that level. Starlight Zone in Sonic 1 is another level which has that in it. But you're doing really well, making fantastic time at the moment, Mr. Robotnik. Doctor, sorry. And, I think one of the things I've noticed, so I've been, I'm the creator of this shuffler. If you want to find out where to get this to have a go, Google Alistair's Magic Box. So it has this and a bunch of other strange features for glitching games and playing them with unusual features. So things like the Ring Shuffler, where every time you get a ring, you switch games. That's part of this as well. So it's called Alistair's Magic Box. But I've been running this a bit myself to see how I do. And there we go.
No, wait, no. Yes!
Yes. Lots of opportunities to die in Death Egg 1. And yes, Sonic fell into one of Eggman's magnificent traps there, bonking straight into the spinning balls there. And, well, losing a bunch of time on the run. So I found that because, you know, I'm not a seasoned speedrunner, so I've taken quite a bit longer than Huds, who's currently second place in the overall world leaderboards. Was first place up until earlier this week when Joey Baby took over the world record. But me playing it myself, you can tell the difference between the way I play it and the way Huds play it. Huds plays a lot riskier, a lot more aggressive, and he also does, well, I mean, the optimal strategy is to try and not die at all, but you'll notice sometimes that he might make decisions about when to make a tactical death, for example. So if he's got no rings and he's in got a boss that is really, really long and he's near the end of it, he might choose to let Sonic die in one of the other bosses so he can have an opportunity to collect some rings and go back into that difficult boss with a bit of safety. So not in one of those situations at the moment, but he might be soon, particularly if he gets far into Red Eye. That might become a consideration that he starts to make, is when do I want to, like, let Sonic die so I can replenish rings in a scary level. So damage boosting here to get some hits in the Red Eye boss. Damage boosting is something you want to be doing if you want to get those hits in quickly, but it can get a little bit dangerous because what you don't want to do is lose all your rings and then hit Robotnik without having gone back to get those dropped rings first, because that means you'll switch into the other games with no rings and you have to wait for that original game to come back around before you can pick up the ones you dropped. So it's a risk, but it's an important risk to take. Doing the speedrun strat on Red Eye, so if he can focus on keeping Sonic in the right position while he's bouncing around between bosses, then hopefully Eggman Sonic can get the quick kill on Red Eye So what he's trying to do is when we go back to Red Eye, he's going to want to try and stay in the same place, just bouncing up and down on that eye. But it can be very easy to fall off because you are holding down different buttons in the different games. This is a nice one though, taking him through, should have 33 rings as he goes into Marble Zone here.
I feel very conflicted playing this game out of stuff.
Yes.
Do I want the hedgehog to win? I seem to be constantly hurting myself here. This is not doing any good for my image. Making me look incompetent.
I think it shows a certain level of humility, your wretchedness.
Who cares about humility in this kind of world? I want to conquer it, not be humiliated. No, wait, that's not right.
Well, I think winning at speedruns is a great way to conquer the world. So I think I found a good new strategy. Creating evil robots wasn't quite working out for you, so speedrunning could be the future, could be the next direction for Eggman Industries.
Yes, cower, Sonic, cower in the corner. My finest creation, Red Eye, will come for you.
You call everything your finest creation, Doctor. Which one is it actually?
They are all my finest creation. No! No, how has he won? He was my finest creation, Amber.
It's okay. Your next finest creation here in Hydrocity, or Splishy Splashy Fun Time Zone.
Yes, let's get that one right. I think we established that one yesterday, did we not?
Yes, it is Splishy Splashy Fun Time Zone, or Z. Will the Blue Hedgehog be able to reign supreme over these 42 bosses? Find out next time in Splishy Splashy Fun Time Z.
Oh, what's happening? No! Oh no!
So these points are quite a nice part in the run where you do get to take a little breath, have a little sip of water. Unfortunately, Eggman's grin seems to be permanently in place, so he's not in a great water drinking position. But there are a few moments like this in the run where you can take your hands off the controller, give them a bit of a stretch. Of course, this does make the subsequent parts of the launch base zone boss a bit more suspenseful, because if he were to die here, and he's doing well, he's only had 2 deaths so far. If he were to die in launch base, then he would go all the way back and have to play not just part 1 of that boss, but also see that cutscene again. Now we're on to Spring Yard Act 3, which is one of these ones that personally, I find this one a real nightmare, because Eggman's going to... Okay, and...
Eggman's gonna just jump down into a hole.
I couldn't see where I was.
So personally, I find this one really tough because Eggman's going to pull these blocks out of the ground, and if you are standing on the blocks when he's doing it, you will fall down and you will die. And you will lose time in the process, of course. It is very easy, if you're not thinking about what buttons you're pressing when you switch between bosses, to end up just walking straight into that hole and switching into the Spring Yard boss while it's happening. Fortunately, Huds as a seasoned player, Eggman as a seasoned player won't hopefully not be making that mistake and getting in those quick hits when Robotnik sort of sinks lower as he bobs up and down and top. So the faster you get rid of the Spring Yard boss, the safer it will be. And it looks like you might manage to get Spring Yard boss without actually having to worry about too many holes in the landscape, which is going to be good. But yeah, to tell you a little bit about where this originated from. So I told you this is all part of a thing I've made called the Magic Box. So named because I didn't know what else to name it. But it's a collection of various different sort of hacks and things. So the Ring Shuffler is in here, so you can play these games, play all the Sonic games, so that every time Sonic collects a ring, it switches to a different game. And it also supports, detects rings in Sonic Spinball, Sonic 3D Blast, detects you matching beams in Dr. Robotnik's Mean Beam Machine. This is a boss which does not have a damage meter, so this is one that you get a little relaxation time to let this boss follow you to its to the quicksand on the left-hand side, where it will simply fall in and destroy itself. So this is a nice opportunity to relax as a runner, get a few breaths in. But yeah, so I was telling you about the creation of this. So it's one of these kind of like passion projects of mine that I've been working on over several years. Originally just kind of seeing, what I could do an emulator to do if I added in things that would just arbitrarily edit what was in RAM as you were playing, and used it to make colorful t-shirts and things like that. And at one point in 2018, I used it to make a kind of interactive stage show where I got people to play Sonic games on a stage as if it was a TV game show, and have two players playing on either side of each other. I would be Dest as Dr. Robotnik at the time, loving that nose flicking. That's some serious. He is. I've forgotten the word I'm looking for. Making sort of fun of Sonic as he's playing or something. Giving himself a nose massage. Good for the sinuses. I made it. I did this stage show where you could do things like whenever one team collected a ring, it would write arbitrary data into the opponent's level layout, and you're racing to see who can get furthest into the levels before the time runs out. Springyard Zone Dispatch, like I said, this is a level that is easy for HUDs and difficult for normal people.
We're at the
Here's a
halfway
level
point.
that's difficult for everyone, and we are at the halfway point already, making fantastic time on this.
Touch this level.
This level's evil because if you do lose your rings, there is a big chance that most of them will end up falling to the top of the Wing Fortress level or outside those yellow beams that keep Sonic in. And there you can see all of Sonic rings just popped outside of the level. He can't pick them up. And it happened again, I think. It's still showing he's got 3 rings though, so I don't know what happened there.
Yes.
I think you might have lucked out on one of Alistair's accidental bugs, perhaps. But I think, hey, this is speedrunning. Making use of my bugs is entirely valid.
Yes, it turns out that even the great Dr. Robotnik can also do frame-perfect damage boosting.
So this project's just been one of these things I've kept on going back to. I did a stage show made out of these things, and it was really, really fun. But after that, I wasn't quite sure what to do with it. And then in 2020, I was kind of mucking around using it to make weird art videos and things. And I put in the functionality where when you get a ring, it switches you to a different game. And people really took to that, and streamers and speedrunners started playing it, and I was just spurred on by this to sort of add in more and more features and support for different games, and okay, what's the equivalent of getting rings in different games and what could that do? I've just kept on running with it, and the Boss Rush Shuffler was a thing I added. I think it was just before Christmas or just after Christmas, so it's only really been around since the beginning of this year. And I had so much fun building it. I've also had so much fun playing it myself. And it is kind of that's a tiny time loss, but a good one to have. Okay, so here's one of the dangerous levels.
Yes,
yeah.
my greatest creation. Look how large it is. It's the size of the moon.
Yeah, so
Look at my
Alistair, you were
great fingers.
So Alistair, you were talking about how in 2020, when you added the functionality of being able to go from one game to the next by collecting rings, the mistake that you made was letting me see that tweet. I don't know how it ended up in my feed, but it ended up in my feed. I thought it was brilliant, and then when you released, so I followed you, and then when you released it, I immediately sent it to Argic, and I was like, I know what we must do.
Oh, well, thank you very much for doing that. Yeah, I mean, Argic's been a big fan of Lee's for a long time, and I absolutely loved watching him. And also, because originally this was only on Mac, because I was working on a Mac, and I was basically for a long time just making these for my own curiosity. So I was just making it on the software that what I had. So originally, when I first released it, it was only on Mac. Unfortunately, Arg was able to run it on Mac, so he was able to stream it. So he was one of the very first people to stream the Ring Shuffler, because for most people it was inaccessible because I built it for Mac. But it was a great incentive to go back to, like, okay, I'm going to rebuild this in Windows, and I'm going to try and do it a bit better, a bit nicer, a bit easier for people to use, and things like that.
This Argic you speak of, I have heard of him. He still owes me a pack of Iron Brew. The doctor never forget.
There is calls in the chat for a PvP version of this. Now, I don't think PvP is in the Boss Rush Shuffler, but in the Ring Shuffler, it most certainly exists because myself, Huds, Argic, and Mendez have all done like a big big Ring Shuffler like competition where we have entire rules around like the death counter and the swaps counter was added, or the death counter existed, but the swaps counter existed after Argic and I were done beta testing, or did our first streamed version of the beta testing that we were doing for the competition mode, if you will, where you were able to connect via net play, and when you collect rings, it swaps the other player's game. And we had this brilliant idea of like, okay, let's put in this many games, and then player who like the player who like completes or gets the farthest in each game gets a point, and we tied. We had 6 games and we tied, and it's like, well, or maybe we had 5 games and then we had the number of swaps, so we were able to tell like who got the most swaps. The death counter, I think, was what was added, because we're like, okay, if we know what the death counter was, like we'd be able to have a tiebreaker 7th point, but we didn't actually keep track. So Alistair was very kind in chat and was like, I'll add a death swap or a death counter for the next time, and it has been a mainstay since. So it's got really silly purposes beyond just tracking your progress, because especially if you do the PvP mode, it can be a ton of fun. So if you do check out the Magic Box, which I will link the website, I'll link Alistair's website for the Magic Box. You can pick that up.
I can't believe they refer to this thing as big arms. These are big arms.
Yes, Dr. Hudsman, you have very big arms.
My arms are stupendous.
They most certainly are your wretchedness.
Thank you.
And it is good to get big arms out of the way now, because that's one of the longest bosses in the game. So that's a good one to have out the way, because now you know that you don't have to worry about dying in that level and losing a massive ton of time. So it must be good to get that one out of the way. But thank you so much, Amber, for for you, and and that's the same to Huds. If he were here right now, I would be thanking him, Arg and Mendez, and other people as well, Yoshi Chief, Sound Defense, who've all been like really helpful in terms of, because streamers and runners like yourselves, like being able to watch you play and go sometimes I'll be watching and I'll notice bugs and go, okay, I need to fix that. But other times I'll be watching and I'll either you'll be requesting features, or I'll be noticing, what would make this better for the runner or make it better for the audience. And I'll be able to spot things by watching how you play and how you react to things. So being able to use, your streams as a way to, figure out, what do I want to add to this? How do I want to change this? What things do I need to fix? What things kind of need improvement? Which bits are clicking really well? Which bits aren't? It's really, really useful to have that. Like, it's not just feedback. It's like in the moment, you can watch people, you can hear how people are thinking through it as they're playing it. So I have to say a massive thank you to you all for playing it, because it's been so helpful for me.
You'll be pleased to know, Alistair, I happen to know this Huds chap personally. I shall pass on your regards to him.
Thank you so much, Doctor. I really appreciate it.
Oh no! Oh no! What are you doing, Sonic? No, my ring! I mean, Sonic, wait, no!
Now we're onto a ringless state, so watch out here, could get dangerous. This boss with the ice can get dangerous too, as when you get frozen... There you go. Down you go. Sometimes, if you're lucky, Tails will come and rescue you if you get frozen in ice. But it does mean with that 0 ring count, Eggman has had to go back into the level to go back and collect some rings.
What?
Having a little trouble with that Orbinaut, or maybe just, playing around with it, training it, making it stronger and tougher so it can better face Sonic in future.
Yes, that. Well done, assistant.
You're most welcome, your evilness. I feel like Scratch and Grounder right now.
Yeah.
They were some of my
Honestly.
worst creations.
I've definitely quoted Scratch recently in the last 2 weeks, calling myself, or referring to myself and my cohorts as too dumb to quit. It's like, I'm a genius, you're too stupid to quit.
Yes,
Which,
there were
honestly,
definitely some problems with my earliest creation. But it's fine, because I gave myself a promotion!
We need Roman in here who can roll his R's, because you most certainly cannot.
No.
Neither can I.
That's why I am now known
I could.
why I'm now known as Dr. Eggman. Removes the R's that I cannot roll.
Can you roll your G's?
Yeah.
He made me persistent, he made you too dumb to quit. That's what it is. Thank you for... someone actually did correct the quote. Thank you so much.
But yeah, no, speaking of I was going to say Satam, and I was like, that's wrong. Speaking of Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog, Dr. Robotnik's Beam Machine is supported in the Ring Shuffler in this. So if you want to play 6 different Sonic games and 1 Dr. Robotnik game, that is possible. There's also a version of this that I've made out of BizHawk. Where it's just the Ring Shuffler supporting it, so it doesn't have the Boss Rush, it doesn't have the other strange things. I can tell you about the other features in the Magic Box, but in the BizHawk version, you can do the Ring Shuffler also with Knuckles Chaotix, the Sonic Advance games, the Sega Saturn games, Sonic CD, Neo Geo Pocket Color Sonic, Samari, Sonic 6 on the Game Boy Color. So they are supported. So if you want to do ring shuffling with games from other platforms than the Mega Drive, also the Master System games are supported here in the Magic Box as well. So the Master System games are in both versions. They're not Master System's games not in the Boss Shuffler yet. But I say yet. These 4 are, as of yesterday, not the only 4 games supported by the Boss Shuffler, because just yesterday I added Sonic 3D Blast into the mix, so you can now do a 50 boss rush by adding in the 3D Blast bosses as well.
Ring Stadium
so it's
3 says hello.
Curse you, Alistair. Curse you and your innovations.
Thank you for the curses, oh wretchedness. I need more synonyms for evil. I feel like Scratch and Grounder had lots of good synonyms for evil to bring out at moments for like this. Your hideousness, your villainousness. Oh, they're getting another freeziness there. Nearly lost all his rings, but managed to recover one there just before getting in. Yes, but there are other features supported by the Magic Box, so you can make it so that whenever Sonic collects a ring, he gets faster. So he'll get faster and faster and faster the more rings you collect. You can also make it so that every time you collect a ring, it'll write random data into the level layout, or just random data arbitrarily anywhere into memory. So you can make some really weird glitches happen. But sorry, go ahead, Eggman.
My fantastic assistants, do you like thrilling gameplay?
I love thrilling gameplay, your wickedness.
Excellent. For we are now in the era of thrilling gameplay. Not quite yet.
We'll get there eventually.
Yeah. I mean, Lava Reef 2, this is the boss here. This is the one where Eggman's mines will hit himself, and you are standing on a tilting ramp of lava. So Huds has a fire shield right now, which allows him to stand on the lava. If he were to lose that boss would become ever more precarious, because he would no longer be able to stand safely on that lava. So you have to be very careful, because if you're holding down the jump button when you hit your next boss and you switch into Lava Reef 2, and Sonic is in the middle of the jump, he will immediately launch into that fire shield move. And sometimes that will cause him to launch himself straight into Eggman and lose that shield immediately. So you have to be careful about paying attention to what buttons are safe to press right now. Now I was watching Joey Baby playing, and he got the world record recently. And I think what he was doing is he was timing his jumps in Lava Reef 2 so that he would start doing the fire dash move while the mine hit into Eggman's craft. And hopefully when you switch into that, you'll see that moment become apparent. So that he knew that he would be safely dashing to a safe part of the screen when he switched back into the game. So planning ahead, what move am I going to be doing when I re-enter this game is part of the strategy that you're trying to do here. So we're probably going to see this happen in a moment. I don't know if Huds is going to do the same strategy. I don't know if he's been doing that before or has just heard about that idea now. But you can see when that boss hits, he's already started doing that fire move, which will send him to a safe part of the screen, keeping himself safe as we switch from boss to boss. Was that intentional, Huds? Is that part of your grand plan?
Of course it's part of my grand plan. I invented the strategy.
Oh, awesome.
Okay. I was really nervous as that laser was about to fire off, that was not the final hit, because these blur together very easily.
Yeah. Getting a cheeky hit in there as Eggman is low down coming up, so he's going to bounce back onto the land, but for the rest of the time in that Death Egg boss, he is going to need to hold down the right button. If he forgets to do so, then he will have a split second to react when he switches back into Death Egg 2, because the screen starts to scroll from now on. Here you can see it scrolling. If he is not holding right, there is a very good chance he is going to fall into the pit on the left-hand side. So he needs to be very careful about remembering to hold the right button.
I appreciate your reminders. I hear that this Huds chap has forgotten many a time.
I know I certainly have. It's been one of my biggest causes of time losses. And of course, if you do die in Death Egg 2, it's going to take you right back to the beginning of that boss fight. And that is a lot of time to lose, because that's about 2 minutes worth of battling, I think, that you would lose. So that would take a lot of time off of your time tracker. But we're doing well to only have had 6 deaths so far. So, playing very safely. There's that nice... You need to make a nice kind of balance between playing safely and playing risky enough to get those fast hits in. I think that's what makes a world record a world record. Do you think so?
Oh, absolutely. I thought you said let him cook. Huds. Sometimes you're a little hard to understand through that. I
mean, I don't know. Can he cook? What can he cook?
I mean, maybe
eggs.
Cook eggs.
Blasphemy.
Whenever I see Alistair posting a teaser or something about something he's developing on Twitter, I can only now think about the let him cook meme, because that's what he's doing. He's cooking something up. And we're gonna eat up the features for sure, because I know that the community has taken quite a shine to this way of challenge moding the games that we've been playing so often.
Yeah, I mean, it's been awesome that the community response all of these things have gotten is been fantastic, and it is the most fantastic motivation to keep on creating stuff. It's awesome to see just the kind of things that people are doing with the shuffler. Feels like it's becoming a format. It's gaining life, and it's got to be a massive shout out to Brasensha, who made the BizHawk shuffler, which is a plugin for BizHawk that you can put basically any game that runs on BizHawk, the BizHawk emulator, you can put into that shuffler, and they will shuffle on a timer. And so many people have extended that. You know, I know Author Blues has worked on it as well. There's, I can't remember who, and I apologize, I can't remember who made the Mega Man Damage Shuffler as well, but that's something that runs off of the BizHawk Shuffler. So there is all kinds of, you know, like really exciting stuff going on with people, you know, using like shuffling games and things like that that's going on. It's just a fantastic community of creators coming up with great new ways to, you know, to challenge things. I mean, I'm personally a massive fan of randomizers, you know, seeing randomizers being played, and I think the first time I saw randomizers being played was on the GDQ channel, and it absolutely blew my mind. And I think it would have been A Link to a Past randomizer was on several years ago. And, you know, as a developer and a game designer, I'm watching that and going, you know, this is magnificent, this is inspiring, and it kind of reminds you there is so much to be done with. Oh wow, that was incredible. That was I thought you were a goner for sure there.
I won't lie, like, yeah, I'm in trouble.
Seeing the stuff that people are creating, taking existing games and turning them into something new, and I guess that's what this weekend has been all about, is just like, it's fascinating, it's inspiring. I love the kind of emergent strategies that you get out of games that, you know, where we're onto the final hit. So like, here we are right onto the final boss. No more switches.
The flames.
All right, now
it's funny, like
basically classic Sonic 2 right here, no rings.
Basically, and it's a nice, good finale to have. The final big egg robot to finish off the final boss with is a nice one. But you see, no more shuffles to go, so we are just playing the vanilla version of the level now.
I was never very good at this.
But you are playing the speedrun strats, and it is interesting that you were playing the speedrun strats even with the shuffling on, and that takes a lot of courage and a lot of bravery, because it gets that much harder to do the strats when you are switching in and out so fast, where you have to think about what button you're pressing when you're entering and leaving. So, you know, like, hats off for you for doing the fast strats on, you know, with the shuffling on. I mean, that is what makes a world record.
Oh, most certainly. Oh my goodness. So, like before in our previous Sonic 2 run, the time will be when the screen fades to white after this boss has been defeated. So definitely keep an eye out for that. But we are coming to a close very soon on this magnificent showcase, honestly.
Yeah, it's been a fantastic weekend. I mean, I've been watching the other rounds, and they have been fantastic, fascinating, and what a time it is! Under 40 minutes, fantastic.
That is very impressive. Get your GGs out for Dr. Hudsman601 as he chortles away. No, seriously, thank you all so much. Wait, Doctor, what are you doing? Doctor, what are you doing? You don't have any hair to rip out. What are you doing?
Oh no! My God! Oh my God! You show your true form.
Now he looks like he's wearing
me all along.
He looks like he's wearing Saiyan armor. You can't unsee this. I'm gonna ruin it right now.
Oh, I cannot see a thing in that. It is also. Okay. Can I point out? It's a sweat box in there. It's like being inside a tent that's got no air. I am really sweating.
I am waiting for you to unzip that HUD's mask now and then pull it off to reveal there was Eggman underneath the whole time.
Oh my goodness. Shout outs to the Robotnik with the sweaty HUDs inside.
Oh, that wasn't too bad actually. Sub 40 I'm really happy about. Really happy about. A couple of silly little deaths, but the ones that always trip me up, especially things like Death Egg 2 forgetting to hold right. That's a common one. Yeah, I'm really pleased I didn't mess those up at least. So yeah, that went really well. Thank you both so much for commentating and for being here with me during that. That was good fun.
I was delighted. I mean, thank you so much for playing it. Thank you for showing it off, and thank you for having fun. It was fantastic to watch, and you know, Amber and GDQ, thank you so much for for having us on. Thank you for having the Boss Rush on, because it is an absolute honor to be here. Like, I have been a fan of GDQ for, I think, like 10 years now. And I've been, I was watching it. The first one I watched, I think, was AGDQ 2013, and it has been like an inspiration to me ever since. Both just fascinating to watch, but also as a game designer and a game creator to watch it. I've always been so inspired. So it is an absolute honor to be here, and I thank you so much for hosting us. It's been a dream come true.
It is my absolute pleasure.
It's a wonderful creation. The Magic Box has given so much, and I'm sure still has plenty more to give as well. Everyone out there, if you want to play this for yourself, whether you want to do the boss rush or you want to do the ring shuffler, there's some really great accessibility options in it as well. So if you want to maybe put in some delay between when it shuffles and things, you can do that. So it is truly accessible to everyone. Please support Alistair. Go to his website, alistair.games. And you'll be able to download this for free, which is even more amazing in itself. Alistair, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for commentating. Thank you for making this wonderful thing. Amber, thank you so much for hosting this. Thank you for the fourth year putting on this incredible weekend-long marathon on GDQ Hotfix. And yeah, a big shout out to all of you out there for watching this, whether you're watching this live right now, whether you're catching up with the VODs on GDQ's YouTube channel. Thank you so much for being interested in speedrunning, in gaming in general. Thank you for all the love that you show to all of us that do this. For me, fan games are my passion. I love the Sonic fan games, so having a whole weekend dedicated to showing some of the best and some of the most cursed fan games out there has been honestly an absolute joy to see, and to be a part of it, not only to open this marathon with Argic, but to then get to close this marathon in my silly Eggman costume has been honestly an incredible time. But yeah, thank you all so much. If you want to see more of this, if you want to see more boss rush, if you want to see more fan game speedrunning, do come follow me over on twitch.tv/huds601. And the last thing I want to say on this marathon is trans rights are human rights, LGBTQ plus rights are human rights. We love you, we support you, you are valid. Please look after yourselves. Take care.
And thank you all so much for joining me here. So I just want to say thanks to all of the runners, all the commentators, all the developers of the games that you saw here on this marathon during this event. We do these Sonic and the series events yearly, Hypnotics and myself. Huge shout outs to Hypnotics for sharing the hosting burden with me. It's not actually a burden, it's a lot of fun, but I have hosted 12 hours straight before for the second event that we did, and I said never again, and Hypnotics has definitely stepped up to help select games for these events alongside HUDs, Final Flame, T-Tree. They've all helped me this year. Flame has been helping me since the very first event with game selection and everything. Shoutouts to everyone here who just comes together every year and gives a fantastic showcase, whether you pick up a run specifically to learn for the event or you've revived a run that you've never run that you haven't run in years. We really appreciate you. I hope that this casts a spotlight on more than just your typical Sonic runs and maybe inspires you to pick up a speed run or a challenge run, or maybe even just your first casual Sonic game. So thank you all so much for that. Just a few announcements as we wrap up. First and foremost, these are your final hours. If you want to attend Summer Games Done Quick 2023 in person, that is coming up May 28th to June 4th in Minneapolis, Minnesota. If you're interested in attending the event, registration is still open until the end of tonight, May 7th. Go to gamesdonequick.com for more information on that. And if you are watching this on YouTube, please be sure to press the like button on this video, subscribe to the channel, and go to twitch.tv/gamesdonequick if you're interested in looking at our live content on Hotfix. It starts weeknights at 7 p.m. Eastern and weekends at 1 p.m. Eastern, because Hotfix isn't just one-off weekends or anything like that. It is a daily source of speedrunning goodness. I myself host a speedrun show here on the Hotfix every other Wednesday night. I just had my show last Wednesday, so next on the 17th, that's when you'll see me again. I host Passion Project, a variety speedrunning show where you showcase things like this boss rush shuffler, things that are your passion in running, whether it's your favorite game to run, or it's a randomizer, or it's just whatever you're enjoying and what you're passionate about. I want it on the show. You can submit to the show with the passion command in chat with !passion, and come join me every other Wednesday night for, more variety and more speedrun goodness. And thank you all for your support, your subs throughout the event, your gift subs, your bits cheered, all that stuff that really does help support GDQ Hotfix. So please consider subscribing if you aren't already, and you'll be able to enjoy the daily speedrunning content. So thank you all so much. I want you all to take this wonderful positive energy to our raid target for the night, and remember that you are valid and that you deserve the best. So get up, stretch your legs, get some water, get some food, take your medication and your vitamins if you need to, and remember, you're awesome. So I will see you on the other side. Take care and have a great rest of your night. Bye.